going to ask you about y'all, your remembrance of the Little Red Schoolhouse on the corner of Bodark and North Pecos.
Oh, sure, I remember the Little Red Schoolhouse. And I just thought they should have never torn that down because it was, a lot of people went to school there. And they said it was condemned by construction, but I think that was nonsense. Because it had, upstairs was the home ec department, and the children had school downstairs. And I remember Miss Gillespie came, who later married Edgar Vogel. She was, I think their home ec teacher was there. She was a wonderful lady. Everyone liked Miss Gillespie, but she and Edgar Vogel hooked up together. I lived on San Antonio Street 2 different times in my life. And as a kid, I started to school from the house we lived in down there and walked right down this sidewalk over here to the old school building they tore down in there in 1930. That's when I started school over there under Miss Laura Hilliard. And we had in second, first, and low second, and high second. I don't know why they did away with all that or why they did it that way, but that's the way we were in grades. We had different teachers for low first, different teachers for high first, and what have you.
Just the only thing I'd comment on the Little Red Schoolhouse is that first room to the right with the 2 windows was where I started the school in the first grade with Miss Janet Alexander. It was the first time I got stood in the corner too. I was always in trouble, it seemed like, when I was in school. The second grade, I went up to Miss Building's class. It was on the top floor on the other side of the building, and I ended up getting to have the honor of being back in there in the 6th grade before I went into junior high school.
We're now going to hear Joe Henry Bunch talk about seeing a house move down San Antonio Street with Lee. The house that stood on the corner there where the Ford dealership is and belonged to Judge McNeil. And I think Bill McNeil is still in the room. Are you here, Bill? Is that your grandfather?
Great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather's house. I think it faced Blanco. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I've always thought it faced San Antonio.
It faced San
Antonio.
Antonio. It faced San Antonio.
Well, it was this postcard photograph doesn't refer to it with an address, and it wasn't until I published my book with just the postcard that the real true owner of the current home came forward to tell me that that's his house. And he's in the room right now, Clove Bueller, right, Clove? You once told me that when you were about 6 years old, you remember seeing a home being moved from where the Ford Motor Company is today, and that it moved down San Antonio Street. Can you reminisce a bit about that?
Yes, and my mind's gone blank on whose home that was, but McNeil, Judge McNeil's home is whose it was. I couldn't think, so I was forgetting his name. It was a beautiful home, and Mr. Will Swearingen bought that property to put the Ford Motor Company there. And so I lived on San Antonio Street, and one day I looked up and there was this black man whipping the mules and moving this house. Well, that was exciting, a 6-year-old kid, man. I thought this is something. The black man was a one-armed man, really. His arm had been removed, and he put the reins of mules in his arm and hold it like that. He had worked for Holland Page, and when Mr. Page went in the road construction with him, and he whipped his mules with his whip, and kept his old had big old wood rollers on this thing. I thought, boy, how those pure mules, I think there was about either 4 mules or 6 mules put in. I can't remember exactly how many mules was put in that. And I followed it all the way to where that house is sitting today. It was Mr. Will Swearingen's home. And Mr. Will Swearingen remodeled that house and bricked that home today. It was a frame home originally. And I often wondered how, because the house was facing west, and how did they back that house back up on their lot? 'Cause that's a big house. You look, that's a huge house and a beautiful house today. And but my mother stopped me. She would and said, "You get back in your house. Don't you go any further. You come back home. You see all you're going to see." Judge McNeil's home, to where it now sits, is the Will Swearingen home, and the Swearingens made it a most handsome house. And it's, I think, one of the finest houses in Lockhart today. It's still standing.
You slightly mentioned about being a soda jerk. Give us a little history on that. I understand you started at one drugstore and then got hired away to another one.
I went to work for Mr. Charlie Pleger, bless his heart, a wonderful old bachelor that was a pharmacist. Dr. A.A. Ross brought him to Lockhart from down around, well, I can't call the town, it's down south from here. And Dr. Ross had practiced medicine shortly down there. And he knew that we needed another drugstore. So he taught Mr. Pleger and coming to Lockhart and opening up a drugstore. And he took over the bank building. It's that building that has the round columns there. That was a bank then. That was Mr. Burleson's bank. And that's where Pleger Drugstore was. And there was an iron stairway that went upstairs to Dr. Ross's office up there, up over the drugstore. And in the back room, there was a room where Mr. Pleger slept. And he took all of his meals at the restaurant downstairs. And as a kid, I was about 13 to 14-year-old kid. He had crew sergeants working with him in there, and they needed some extra help at the soda fountain, and gave curb service, of course, and people. So I went to work for him for $1 a day, and people drive up in front of the drugstore and honk. I'd go out there, and they'd want Alma Hartman and her mother mainly would come and each get a Coca-Cola, 10 cents a Coke, and then 2 nickel Cokes. And I'd put the tray on the car, and then they'd honk when they were through, and I'd go pick it up. And I worked there 7 days a week. And then if I worked at night, closed up with Mr. Pleger, I'd go with him up the steps. So he didn't fall. We had a flashlight going up there to his bedroom. And then when I came down, I didn't have a flashlight or nothing. I had to just feel myself down those iron stairs. And I'd hold on to the rail, and I'd just take every step till I got down where I could have some light to see if I was all right. I never did get smart enough to take a flashlight with me so I could see to come down. Well, I worked there several years, a couple of years, and then the corner drugstore was booming, and they had Wilfred Chew worked in there, and Sonny Dressin, and grown men were running there, and so I went over there and went to work for them, and worked there several years before I moved to Austin to go to school. But I liked my soda jerking. I got to know all the cute girls at night would come in to visit, and I knew all the people that would come in, and I had an enjoyable time working as a boy in town.
Did you ever get a tip?
I did, from Gerald Mann. We made our own ice cream, by the way, too, and it was the best. We get our mix from the creamery. And we used J. Humphrey Smith's products to mix it. We'd make a 5-gallon can in 2 batches, little mixer we had. And we wash out those 5-gallon cans, and then we'd line them with heavy wax paper all around. And you had to make up 2 batches of ice cream to fill a 5-gallon can, and then we had a freezer back there. You'd hook them up and put it in the freezer, and then it'd take 24 hours to freeze the ice cream. But we had the best ice cream made anywhere. Gerald Mann came through Lockhart one Sunday afternoon, and they ordered some butter pecan ice cream. It was he and his wife and two little boys, and a big double dip serving for a nickel. And they ate that, and he honked hard, and I went back out there, and he said, "Young man, that's so good, I believe we'll take a refill." So I brought it back in and got some clean glasses and filled it up, took it out there and I told some people sitting at the counter, I said, "I'm waiting on Gerald Mann out there." "Oh, that's not Gerald Mann." I said, "Well, he is." And I said, I'll bet you 50 cents it's Gerald Mann. And he said, "All right, how are you going to prove it?" I said, "I'm going to have to tell him honk the horn if he's Gerald Mann." So he honked the horn for me to pick up his tray, so I went out there and I told him. I said, "Aren't you Gerald Mann?" And he said, "I sure am, and I appreciate you recognizing me." And I said, "Well, honk your horn." I said, "Those Looney Tunes in there said you weren't Gerald Mann, and I was waiting on Gerald Mann." So he honked the horn and waved to him, so that convinced him it was Gerald Mann. So I went back in and won my bet, and he tipped me 50 cents. And so I said, I flipped a 50-cent piece. I said, "I won my bet from you rascals," and I said, he tipped me 50 cents. And I said, "Y'all didn't think you're so smart." Oh, we had a lot of stuff going on in the drugstore, because we knew who came in there, what they wanted. And on Saturdays, we would pack all the country people come to town. And they'd come in and sit down at the counter, and I knew what they were going to order. And it had the sign up there. Well, we had vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, butter pecan, and burgundy cherry. That burgundy cherry was tops too with me. And they'd say, "The guy says, right there, sir." I don't know, they couldn't read or what, but I read it off again for them. And, "Oh, just give me plain vanilla." So when they come in, did that, I knew they were plain vanilla eaters. So we had Jimmy Missouri was, he came to help me. Poor Jimmy was a couple of 3 years younger than me, and he and I would act up every now and then just to have fun on some of the people. And we had a little lady in town she wasn't crazy or anything, but she was different, and she walked different, and she talked different. And a lot of people in town would balk her, and so she'd come in on a Saturday and just sit in and occupy a booth. And so I said, "Jimmy, go wait on her." So she'd say, "I just want a glass of water." And so I'd draw up some carbonated water. I was taking this, and I said, "This will get rid of her." She took it over there, and she sipped on it, and she says, "Young man, come here. This water is sour. I want some fresh water." So she went with me too. I can't get rid of her that way either. But we had a lot of fun with a lot of people when you Bubba Henderson and Buddy Wooten and those characters, they all sit there. Buddy Wooten sit there for 15 minutes, not say a word to you. All of a sudden, fix me a vanilla ball. That's all he'd say. Just fix me a vanilla ball. So he'd fix it, put it down, and he'd play. He'd get it go on, but old Bubba would sit back there and wait for anybody to come in and buy him a drink, and that went on all the time.
Was Gerald Mann governor?
Now, honey, you asked me, Jeremy, and I think he was. No, he was Attorney General.
Attorney.
He was Attorney General. Jeremy was never governor. He was the Attorney General. I'm trying to think if we had a governor come by. But we had a couple from Austin, and her husband had a stroke, and he couldn't hardly talk, but he talked football, and all he'd say was football. But they drive a Cadillac car from Austin, come out here almost every Sunday and get some ice cream, sit there and eat ice cream. And she would, whoever she was very gracious that she would tip me in the booth there a dime to bring their ice cream. Yeah, but they would come in and people liked our ice cream. And two brothers next door, they had the best delicatessen of any place, and it was they made the best hamburgers over there and chicken salad and sandwiches, man, they were good. Alba and Walter Seelinger's his wife, and Coots's wife, I can't remember her name, but they were, that place had good food, man, it was good.
Well, folks, that just about wraps it up. I want to thank you all for coming, and appreciate your staying with us to hear all these great stories. Thank you.